9. Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Alien Probe Podcast. It's Saturday, August 6th. I'm Doug, and joining me again today is Dr. Bill. Got a few things to talk about. What's going on, Bill?
Nothing much. Remember to put the date in today.
I know. I remembered to say the show, too.
Double win. All right.
I assume they know since they clicked on it.
Maybe.
But you never know.
So we're going to talk about a little more about Omni and the cosmic conspiracy. Gordon Cooper video we looked at.
Yep.
What else? Roswell, the movie cover-up that was on Showtime in 1994.
Yep. Martin Sheen.
Did you watch it? You watched it.
I did watch it.
All right.
It was awesome.
Good.
It was awesome.
Roswell, Final Verdict, Episode 1.
Yeah, I do want to talk about that. I know,
Okay.
We'll get to it. You want to talk with? Go ahead, but we'll start with Gordo.
Let's
start with Gordo.
I think that's pretty much what we'll talk about today. Looks like it. Yeah, Gordo Cooper. And if anybody's watching For All Mankind, the character Gordo Stevens is based on Gordo Cooper.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep. And his wife, Gordo Stevens in the For All Mankind, his wife is a pilot, and Gordon Cooper's first wife was the only wife of the astronauts that was a pilot also, just like the characters in the show.
That was awesome. I love that show. For All Mankind, for those of you who haven't seen it, check it out. It's a good watch.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's good. Do you know that the new Artemis moon rocket is supposed to launch around the 29th of this month?
Oh, no kidding.
Yep. And it's going to send a unmanned capsule around the moon and back.
So we're just kind of doing... We didn't do that in the beginning, though. We sent men immediately, right? We didn't do we had to have people on the ship to...
Apollo 10 was manned. It went up and around. Apollo 9, I think, was just an orbital docking mission. They sent it up in low Earth orbit, and they did a docking simulation with lander and stuff.
We never sent a ship like we're doing with Artemis around the moon and coming back as a practice run.
I'm thinking Apollo 8 might have done a...
I didn't know we had the tech then to do that. I thought, really,
we may not
our phone has more tech now than we did then.
Well, what they would do, the computers were limited, but they had the ability you would just upload a new program. So you had different programs to do different things, and it was the programs weren't because of the environment, the harsh space environment. The programs were hardwired programs. They weren't like magnetic tape or magnetic storage. Now they were actually analog computers with hardwire programs, if I remember right, which I might not.
Interesting.
Apollo 10's fourth crewed mission, Apollo's Head program, and the second to orbit the moon. What's Apollo 8? Oh, come on. That was Apollo 10. I knew that. Apollo 8. Apollo 8. Spacecraft leave low Earth orbit in the first human space flight to reach the moon. The crew orbited the moon 10 times without landing.
Interesting.
All right. What about Apollo 7?
You could go right down the list, but I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I don't know if they did an unmanned mission. I don't know if the ships could do an unmanned mission. First
I don't know if
program saw the assumptions. Oh, okay. So we had Apollo 1, which burned on the...
I was going to say, I think the one didn't make it.
Yeah. And this was the first crewed flight program, saw the resumption human space flight after Apollo. I don't know the full lettering and the thing. Since we're going to talk about Gordo Cooper's video, Grissom, who died in Apollo 1, was a really good friend of Cooper. And Cooper later sort of got pushed out of the Apollo program which I don't think would have happened if Grissom was still alive. So there was some weird politics going on there.
Grissom was the one who the capsule went to the bottom of the ocean because he screwed the pooch. Wasn't he the one that he blew the hatch prematurely?
I'm not sure if it was him.
I think it was Grissom because
They said
he later got on he panicked and blew the hatch, and then he's the one that took the dimes up into space so he could have souvenirs.
Okay, so
well, that was on The Right Stuff. I don't know. I didn't read The Right Stuff, but I have seen the movie a few times.
Yeah, I've read it. It's been
really
a long
time. Interesting.
So Grissom was a troublemaker. I think Cooper was too. So
yeah,
Cooper was set up. He was a backup crew for Apollo 10, and was scheduled for Apollo 13. And then they pulled him from that because the Deke Slayton got activated because he was cleared for flight. And the new guy that took over as the head of the astronaut assignment job, had it out for him, I think, and just said he's not taking this stuff seriously. So they sort of forced him out. And I'm wondering if his UFO stuff might have...
as you mentioned that, I'm wondering if this is some weird... he said he actually... Okay, so we have this video, and it's an interview with him. You know what year this was? I didn't see the year on it. It's older.
It's from some old documentary. It was just posted on Reddit. I'm assuming it was in the 90s.
Yeah.
And he said some great things.
Well, he said he saw some UFOs and they were flying in formation. And
when he was running a fighter squadron in Germany, he said he saw them flying in formation. Says they were obviously under intelligent control.
It looked. I mean, who knows about I just can't see him going on there and lying about this stuff. Didn't he see one land at a?
I don't think he saw one land. What happened is there was guys were out at they were doing those they're monitoring balloon flights, like weather balloons or something like that, with a theodolite, if that's how you pronounce it. And they were filming, and they said they saw a flying saucer land with 3 legs come out, and they filmed it, and then they started walking over to check it out, and it took off. So Cooper had the film processed,
he saw it, right? He was there. He saw it.
I don't think he saw the UFO, but he saw the film. They told him, they came in, they told him about it. He said, go process the film and bring it to me. And then they brought him the film, and he held it up to the window and looked at it. And DC said, put it in a pouch, send it. When he called up, found someone to talk to take it. And I like the interviewer guy goes, well, what did you follow up? Whatever happened to the film? He goes, how am I supposed to do that?
Yeah, who am I supposed to talk to?
Who am I going to talk to? Yeah. And it was great. And another thing he said that was fascinating is that the U2 project wasn't even classified.
Yeah, I found that interesting as well.
Yeah, because if they classified it, then Congress would ask about it and want information on it. So as long as the project was unclassified, it was truly deeply secret. So that was an interesting
They said they didn't even know about the YouTube till Gary Francis Power crashed or got shot down.
So there's like levels of secrecy, and then let's not even label it secret, and then we don't even have to talk about it.
Yeah,
that's an interesting.
I don't know how he knew. So how did he know that the UFO took off? He says the landing gear retracted into the wheel wells, and then it shot off into the air. If he didn't see that, how did
the guys
the whole thing?
The guys told him. The guys that were filming it. Yeah, they're filming it. So my understanding is that they filmed it, came back and told him, and he's like trying to call people, and then he looked at they told him not to look at the film, and then he spread it out and looked at it, holding it up to the window.
Yeah. So he says the quality was impeccable, on this thing. But then they sent a courier arrived immediately. The pouch landed on his desk, and a courier was right there to pick it up.
And the courier was dressed in a black suit.
Yeah, and he had a little fedora hat, glasses.
Yeah.
No, it was some private in a Jeep.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess they had a courier plane too. Well, you look at something by Gordo Gordo Cooper. I keep wanting to call him Gordo Stevens after the show. Gordo Cooper talking about this. Why would he make this stuff up?
No, and he looked when he talked about it. I mean, I'm watching him talk, and it's like
Yeah.
this guy's not bullshitting. This
No.
is like, but Lazar, he's like Lazar. He talks about it, and you're kind of like, oh, he could be lying.
Well, you can look at Lazar and you can see a lot of his stuff, and you go, "There's a degree of flakiness with he."
Yeah,
Lazar's a really smart guy. There are interesting elements of truth in there, but there's a lot of other things that make you raise questions. But there's a lot of things that are solid. With the thing is he did work for that company, and he was able to take people out into the desert where they could see strange things happening. So he has multiple witnesses of people. So that yeah, like I said, it's compelling. Lazar is compelling. Cooper is compelling. This guy Corsko is compelling. You can do this. This guy. Oh, everything's gonna fall on my head.
Is that we're gonna see an incident happen right here.
Yeah, Philip. I'm not gonna pull that. There's a bunch of books stacked on top of that.
We're gonna get huge ratings if you get killed with that bookcase falling on you.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. Yeah, and then the tabletop is glass, so it will shatter, and then all the monitors will just collapse down, and it would just be a major disaster.
I'm not sure what my reaction is going to be. Who am I going to call to help you? Yeah. So anyway, he saw a lot of, that kind of more or less sums up the Gordon Cooper interview. He saw other UFOs and it sounded real. I mean, I don't know. It's bizarre.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. I've ordered his biography written in 2002. I don't know which year he died, but I'm hoping that I'll skim through it and see if I can find some more details about what he's talking about. There might be more words involved than in a brief interview.
He said he saw the UFOs in 1951. He did give the date,
when he was with the flying F-86s in Germany.
Yeah, the F-86 in Germany. So that's pretty incredible.
It's amazing stuff. We'll see.
Yeah,
George, I mean,
awesome.
You hear these stories about astronauts talking about this stuff, or one or two or things, and you look at it and there's not really much there, but he's pretty compelling. It reminded me of that Italian guy that was up on the Italian Alps with his wife, and he took pictures of a landed UFO, and it showed like a robot thingy or whatever walking around the UFO, and they were great photographs, really clear, really tight photos of UFO. And the guy came back and told people he'd taken this picture, and a local newspaper said, "Well, can we publish the picture?" He's like, "Oh yeah, go ahead, publish the picture." They said it was a fake photo. The guy lost his job. His boss called him in like the next day, fired him. The guy's like, "It took me a year to find another job after this." And
back then, what was this in like the
50s,
60s or so?
I think it was in the 50s. Yeah.
Well, you're labeled it's not like today where I talk about this all the time to people, and you're not labeled, well, at least people aren't telling me outwardly. You're not labeled a crackpot. I mean, I haven't seen anything, so I don't look like, oh, you're nuts, but back then it's like, you need to seek help,
There's something wrong with you.
But now, there's something wrong with you.
It was hysteria, hallucinogenic hysteria, or whatever they used to say.
But it was have you seen the picture? Where's the picture?
Of that? Yeah, I've seen it of that from that guy. Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it you can get it on the internet. I haven't saved it. I'll look for it. Maybe I'll get and show it.
Look at it.
Next
We can
time.
show it next week. So then we've got more move off Gordo. That was a great thank you. That was a great segment.
That was an amazing interview. But even if it was just a few seconds or a few minutes.
Yeah. Who did the interview?
I have no idea.
Having trouble figuring out anything.
I
like, where did this come from?
I looked at the comments. I didn't see an origin on it, but I think he did. You're probably go on IMDb and find it, because he would be listed. I think it's from a documentary he was interviewed for in the 90s. We can that's something we can also try to figure out too.
So Roswell, the Final Verdict, episode 1, utilizing facial recognition.
Yes.
From videos. I got this through the gentleman at work that we just mutual, interest in the subject. And he says, you got to see this. You were saying you saw it and you weren't really excited about it. And I said, well, he is like saying you got to give it a chance. And so dutifully, I checked it out, and they could say anything they want. They got the little lines with the face, and they evaluate. It does AI to evaluate whether people are lying simply by, I assumed there was technology for this, but you could say anything you want. I mean, there was only one and everybody that they talked about, did they have Brazel and Marcel and
Mark Brazel?
Yeah, they had, and then
it's his son's. It's his son's account.
Yeah,
these interviews are in the National Archive. You can go look at the
or
the national. They're on YouTube from the National Archive. You can look at them.
wherever they got them, then they slap some AI
little triangles,
facial recognition, where it's the little lines that study how what their facial and their eye movements are to determine whether or not they're telling the truth. And in every instance, people were telling the truth. There was, in most of the cases, it was unfortunately, in most cases, they did have Marcel on there, talking about the incident. He was older.
Yeah, I was wondering where that came from. I was interested in seeing more of that.
That was something very compelling.
Yeah.
Which of course they said that he was telling the truth, and I just feel for the guy, which, more of that on the next thing we're going to talk about. But I kind of felt sorry for the guy because he's ostracized. He told the truth, probably shouldn't have released the story. I mean, but we knew nothing. Yeah, but we knew nothing then. This is kind of like the first, right?
Well, with Marcel, I'm assuming he had to clear it with his boss before the base commander, before he released a press release. Yeah. He's not going to do it on his own. I mean, it's the military after all, unless he just ran with it. He
was the only one ostracized for, putting it out there, and or even saying that he saw such things, and everybody's like, you can't.
Well,
can't prove it, now.
Was he the intelligence or the press officer for the base?
He was I think he was the base intelligence officer. So, and he went to the site. I mean, according to everything I've seen, he went to the site and looked at it, and there was I remember when we first started the podcast, I'm like, I'm so tired of talking about Roswell, but
there's enormous. It's probably worth diving into. There's a lot to it, yeah, and it keeps going. Well, there's 3 or 4 compelling books written about Roswell. Schmidt was one of the authors of these books, and he was interviewed in that thing. There's this book over my shoulder, which is right here, which is Roswell, which is put out by the Smithsonian Institute to debunk Roswell, which I haven't read yet. It's like, why, if all this stuff is crap, why is the Smithsonian's put out 2 debunking books on UFOs? It's like, who reads this stuff?
And why?
Yeah.
Why is it necessary for them to
work so hard? And then there's 2 300-page reports debunking Roswell that's been put out by the U.S. Air Force, which I haven't read, which you can find online. I have them on my iPad. It's just, there's so much. It's just like, how come you need to work so hard to say something's not real?
Well, and then he's there with the what's supposed to be the balloon and the sticks or whatever, and he's got to have his picture taken saying that this is what this was when he knew it wasn't.
Well, that's from the movie, but that's also apparently from interviews
it's real.
too.
We've all seen that picture of him.
Yeah. Well, no, the picture's real.
Yeah.
But them saying that him saying that it's just not the material he's been interviewed, I think, and talked about that, saying that this was a setup and this was not the material that we found. And that was in that movie we just watched too.
Well, and he's made to say that,
Yeah.
because they realized, oh shit, the public can't know about. They've probably known about this before anyway. I mean, this can't be the first time that any of this has come up, and the government has known, like they know now. And I hate to be that weird conspiracy guy,
Well,
but that's they know now. Well, we know they know now that there's something.
It's interesting too, because this, you can look at this stuff and sort of like find partial explanations, like Gordon Cooper talking about the U-2 that didn't even have a classification to make sure it stayed super secret. And it's like, we'll talk about it a little bit too when we talk about the Omni article. A big part of that article is the Freedom of Information Act. I'm not sure that I think the Freedom of Information Act is not going to give us a lot of information on anything. People have been milking that cow for decades.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, they give you pages and pages of documents that are all redacted.
Yeah.
So they're not really doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just blanked out, and there was one page we saw where it had like one word in the middle, and
It's
we
like,
can tell you, and
what? How could you blank out the entire page?
Well, I hate being like we've talked before, they treat us like children. Yeah. Here's your stuff. Well, that's all you get, because we can't give you. They're not required to give us anything that involves national security, and that's what they're hanging their hat on with these gimbal videos and things. We can give you certain things, but we can't. I know they're just admitting we can't catch them. So
yeah, are they? I don't know. We've spent a lot of time watching this Skinwalker stuff, and I've read a Skinwalker book. I'm going to read the other Skinwalker book, and I think that's just a big distraction from what's really going on. I feel that the 22 million that went to ASAP was just a waste. Now, the good part of that is that then you had Elizondo and Chris Mellon. Chris Mellon somehow saw some fascinating stuff that said something was going on. And then they said, okay, because they're not milking the Skinwalker crap. They're a completely different story, those guys.
Well, what's Elizondo's deal? I mean, what's I haven't seen anything out of him that's, he's not able to tell us anything.
No,
because it'll ruin he's probably got a pension.
He's talked about what he's going to talk. He's talked about everything he can talk about.
He's done, I like the guy, like we talked about before. He's likable, he's believable. I believe everything he's told us, but he hasn't given us anything more really than we've known. He's just feeding into the government. Oh, I can't tell you that. I can't tell you that.
Well, I do think he is pushing for them to release more information, and they should. I don't understand the.
Well, now he's sued now he's going after the inspector general, like we talked about last week.
Yeah, it's like, we don't know who he is, and then they destroyed all his records. It's like, we don't know who he is. We determined that all information regarding him had no historical significance, so we destroyed it all.
Yeah.
Not like it's hard to store information on digital drives or anything. No, we can't afford to store it because it's like, I don't know, reasons.
Yeah.
We don't have a computer. All the computers in the Pentagon don't work because they can't afford to buy new ones.
We have no money. We gave it all to the Ukraine.
It's in the Ukraine. We can't afford anything anymore. We're broke. We're poor. We can't.
Is that still going on? Is that war still going on? I don't see anything in the news.
That's what's so sad. It's like it's gone. Where are all the flags? All the Ukraine flags they're all gone.
That's done. Now we have AD, attention deficit disorder, totally. The only thing will keep it in the news is keeping it in the news. Is on top of your mind is keeping it in the news.
Yeah, I don't know what's
Yeah.
going on. The Russian Army Defense Department or whatever put out a statement that 3 motorized infantry brigades or battalions or whatever were decimated and fled the front lines.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And apparently there's a big the Russians are mobilizing a lot of stuff. North Korea has offered to provide troops to help Russia, and it's supposedly, but who knows? There's so much misinformation out there. It's hard to tell what's going on.
I'm going to talk about something a little controversial since we're talking about Russia.
Russia.
And I don't know, this will be another episode that will not be able to go through Google Ads. What do you think about Brittany Griner? What's your opinion about that?
I don't know.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I do. Here. Let's see if that fixes that. Yeah, my last week we had some sound problem. It wasn't you, it was me.
Oh no, I've heard that before.
It's not you, it's me. Something's going on.
It's your Yeti mic. Your Yeti mic. You're having a problem. I love these Yeti mics.
Yeah, well, yeah, I like mine. It's not a Yeti, but it's getting that fritzing noise last week.
Didn't you have a Yeti knockoff?
It's a Yeti knockoff. That seemed to fix the problem. I turned it on and off.
It's always
so the basketball,
the basketball
woman basketball player.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's crazy.
Well, they're talking. The U.S. is talking about exchanging the. I don't want to get too political because it's kind of polarizing, like abortion and things. So I don't want to get anybody agitated in any. I'm not going to really make an opinion about it. I'm just going to kind of throw out what's happening. And I mean, she's arrested. She has marijuana. I guess it was medicinal. I mean, it was prescribed, according to the defense.
Yeah. Well, she's she looks like she needs medicine.
If it was prescribed, well, she has injuries and things, and she's like 7 feet tall. And Debbie made a comment. She says, it's really especially bad for her in those prisons. I don't think those beds are designed for 7 foot tall people. So she probably could just imagine her sitting with her feet hanging off. She's in the bed. She's hanging with her feet hanging off the edge.
That's like my entire life.
But
the thing is I've traveled a little bit, and it's just like you have to realize that other countries are not the United States, and you get involved in illegal activity, which is she was bringing pot into the country. They are in Russia.
It's like the last place. I didn't realize I had it. That was the comment.
Yeah.
I didn't realize, and I'm not making an opinion. I'm simply stating what I heard.
Well, there's another guy there was, I don't know what he was, some sort of teacher or something. There's several people that are American citizens that are being held in Russia.
Yeah, and they want to have an exchange. They're trying to arrange an exchange.
Well, they want, I don't know what they call this guy, was it the Merchant of Death or something?
Yeah. Do we really want this guy on the streets? I mean, it doesn't sound...
Streets? He's going to be on the streets of Russia. Who cares?
Well, no. Are they going to... Yeah, but he's going to be on the streets everywhere. I mean, we don't know what if it was bad. Of course, our government, who knows why
they just picked
him up originally.
They just exchanged some other guy that was some airline pilot. I saw some video about that. I don't know who they exchanged him for. Oh, they exchanged him for some Marine that did something bizarre.
Yeah.
And they exchanged this one guy who was an airline pilot who was... It looked like it looked like a DEA sting. And I saw an interview with him, and he said he didn't really speak English, and he was like in a room, and they said they asked him if he agreed to like smuggle this stuff, and he just like nodded his head, and then they arrested him or something. It was bizarre.
Weird.
So the Merchant of Death, they want to exchange her, but there's this other guy. I don't know why he's there. They said he was a spy or something. Guy's been there a long time, and they want to exchange him for a guy in a German prison who killed a Chechen guy who was involved in the Chechen-Russia war. So now they're talking about exchanging these two people for those two people. I don't know.
Yeah,
She's one of these people who wouldn't would did she like not kneel or wouldn't be there for the
she's another one that she wouldn't stand for the
There's
a lot of backlash online about this.
Okay. So and then she's like, so I think she might be appreciating the US justice system a little better now that she's experienced a non-US justice system.
That's quite possible. Now that the kneeling or not kneeling. I mean, my opinion about that is you can exercise, you can do. It's because we're America that you can do what you want to do.
Yeah.
If you don't want to stand, I mean, there's going to be I don't think the people that listen to us are going to care one way or the other. But in my opinion, because we're American, we have the right to do either way.
Yeah.
You don't have to, say Pledge of Allegiance. You don't have to. One nation under God, you don't have to say that if you don't want to. If that's not what you believe, you don't have to be forced to say it. That's quite the opposite of what America's about, in my opinion.
Well, there's a lot of countries where I think you have to do that. So try and do that.
Yeah.
Try and do that in North Korea. I'm not going to stand up for the, you're going to be gone.
You'd be beheaded.
Or even China.
Yeah. So I had very strong opinions, like with the football thing, when they wouldn't stand for I had a very strong opinion, and then but I'm open-minded, and as I heard people say the opinion that's because we're America, we have the right to do either way, and I thought, I kind of like that better. That is what America's about. You have the right to do what you want to do, as long as you're not committing a crime.
Well, but we've also seen a lot of restrictions put on people's freedom of speech by various organizations because you're saying things that people find upsetting, and so they're just like, canceling you and restricting your speech.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And it's like the problem is that they're restricting speech. They're restricting political speech, which prima facie is wrong. I don't even know what those words mean.
That was pretty good, though.
Yeah, I liked it. It's just wrong. And then when they restrict a lot of this political speech, it's in a particular direction. And the difficulty arises because 90% of the people are not stupid. Although I think a lot of our leaders think 90% of the people are stupid. 90% of the people are going to see that and say the wrongness of it is very obvious. And it's just like, but they're clueless. Who is this? It's like the president's wife called Mexicans tacos. It's like,
what is who is that?
That was Jill Biden.
Oh, Jill did that? Jill?
Yeah. And it's like her speechwriter resigned after that. It's like, these people are clueless.
Well, that was actually written?
Yeah, it was in a speech she gave. I think she gave it in Texas.
When people read things on teleprompters, they should think about what they're saying and actually stop and go, I'm not reading that.
No, she just didn't know. These people are so clueless because they're so isolated and sheltered, and they're totally racist, and they just don't know. I'm not racist. Okay, so how many Mexican Americans work for you? None. Have you ever talked with a Mexican American? No. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
So it's like, come on. It's like, so there's a high degree of, hey, you have all this, we're really getting off topic here. You have all this stuff where people complain about, we're a racist country. It's like, well, you see people like the president's wife calling Mexicans tacos and other crazy bat shit stuff where they're just like, and then they're like shocked. Yeah, and then they're just like shocked. He goes, "What? You mean that's wrong? That's wrong." I was like, how old are you? Where have you been?
No real life experiences,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah, yeah. That was priceless. And then the media is just like, oh, it's okay, it's fine.
Yeah. Well, then you talk about, and then you think about Colin Kaepernick. I mean, he's really being ostracized for. He started the "I'm not standing for the national anthem,"
So
and
I need an assessment because I don't follow football. Was he a decent quarterback?
he was. He wasn't horrible. He wasn't horrible.
So if he had not,
So
if he had,
he should be given he tried out with the Raiders this year. He
okay,
didn't make it.
he
Didn't
didn't
make
make
it.
it. Yeah. Well,
No,
he's
but
it's been a long time since he's been playing
yeah,
professional ball.
I thought for sure eventually this would go. Everybody would forget about this stuff, and the reason that he made that lack of a stand, I guess you could say, but for the national anthem, and he was trying to get a point across about what's happening with black people in America.
Well, it was
And
I think it was George Floyd, and
was it during the George Floyd
I
thing?
think
Yeah.
so. I'm not sure, but I mean, it was fine for him to make that statement. It's okay.
Again, we're America. It's okay, but the problem is you're in the court of public opinion and you're on the football field.
Well,
And
my curiosity was I don't know if he damaged his career.
yeah, I think he did.
Okay. Okay. So it's like
Honestly, I think he probably, if I have to say, I think it's probable that he would have he's getting tryouts. I mean, they're not denying him, but I think as you talked about the people above us,
Yes.
the leading the country. Well, the NFL's not leading the country, but the owners certainly are the owners.
So
they're gonna control who they want to bring on their team and who they don't. And it's just I think he's damaged his career. Yes.
Okay. So I don't know if my impression was that he might not have had the skill level to be a NFL quarterback. I mean,
I think he did. I think he did.
He had the skill level, but to maintain it for
you
several
know,
years.
I mean,
Okay.
he
Well,
wasn't great, but he wasn't. I think it seemed they talked about him trying out, and nobody said anything negative, but I don't know how it really went.
So you played a lot of fantasy football.
Oh yeah.
So how would you use him in your fantasy football?
He'd be my backup. Yeah,
he'd be good. You think he'd be a decent backup?
But until like anybody, like even employees, you're a backup until you're good enough to lead the team. I mean, it depends on who your starter is. He could be a starter, I think.
Okay, so
I don't know his skill level today.
But you felt that he was qualified enough to be a good backup.
And then I think he could have moved into a starting position. He just needed,
So he shot himself in the foot.
I just think he made a bad decision.
Okay.
Honestly. I mean, I don't think he it's okay to do that, obviously.
Okay.
But it's like, I just think it can be, it's damaging. And, but I think and then other players started doing, I think he got his message across,
Yeah, I was fine.
He only damaged himself. He didn't.
Yeah. All right.
He unified other players to the cause, and that's good.
Okay. Yeah, I was fine with I was fine with the protest. I don't have any problems with that.
Yeah, I don't care about it. At first, because the way I was brought up, I'm gonna have to blame the parents.
We're all there.
It's like my dad would have exploded
through the roof.
I just kind of went. I don't really think I like that because I'm a kind of a patriot, and now I'm kind of like a different. I agree with what they're trying. The point.
Yeah, I mean, if
these guys are trying to get across.
I was just curious how that affected you. Since you're more knowledgeable on this than I am, how it affected his career. I didn't. I wasn't sure about his skill level, but I'm. That's too bad. If he was at a competency level to be.
I think he could have played. I think he could have had He could have had a spot on a team.
All right.
And I don't know how eventually. I think there were some injuries and things. And when you say I'm more knowledgeable, not much more. And my apologies to people that are listening are good football fans and know everything. Sorry.
I don't know. I mean, you follow this stuff and you would have a good
enough. I know a broad stroke version
broad
of
stroke. But
Colin
you
Kaepernick.
did a lot of fantasy football, and you would have a sense
Yeah.
of an intuitive sense of how to position a player if you're doing that. And so he would be a good backup with the potential of becoming a starter. In your opinion.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think he should get a shot. I at this point, I kind of feel he should get a shot. I think we need to be done with, paying attention to what has happened in the past. Honestly, I think, and not that he even did anything wrong, but he's being awesome. I think the owner. I kind of feel like the owners are like, yeah, we'll give him a try. Mark Davis. I'm a big Raider fan. Mark Davis gave him a tryout. They said he did well, but I watched the first preseason game last weekend, and we've got a good backup. And they're trying to make the Raiders the Patriots because there's like a massive Josh McDaniel, I think his name is, but the new head coach. See, I'm not much more of a football fan. I just like the Raiders. Well, so, they're bringing in a lot of Patriot people, and the Patriot style. I'd love to see him go to the Super Bowl. I don't know if it's going to be good enough, but
don't make
it's
me
been
laugh.
a long time.
Don't make me laugh.
I'm going to place a bet. I'm going to put money on it this year. I'm going to Reno or Tahoe or something. I'm going to put a bet.
Well, they're going to legalize. They're talking about legalizing sports betting in California coming up. So maybe you won't even have to do that.
Well, it'd be nice because I don't want to have to leave my house to place a bet. I want to be able to just do it right here while I'm talking to you.
I gotta go. I miss the old Raiders.
We're going to see that again.
Yep.
And I don't know if we want to see that again because they would deliberately try to hurt people, and they were very successful.
Different times.
John Madden fed into that.
Different times. Oh, God, John Madden. Miss him.
Love the Raiders.
Miss him.
What a character. I mean, they were just a band of characters.
Yeah.
They were awesome.
All right. So
back to you. We better talk about some UFO stuff.
Yeah, let's do something people are interested in. Roswell.
Final verdict. Bill Burr starts talking about sports, Debbie turns him off.
Roswell.
We do have a 47% female listenership.
We do? You do?
Sorry, we probably lost Walt.
Oh, I mean, Colin Kaepernick is an interesting character. The woman.
I think we'll see him. Well, it's like vegetables. He's only going to have a certain amount of time to be able to do this. I mean, you're going to, even though Tom Brady has been playing a long time.
He's absolutely unbelievable.
He's not human.
No, he's not human. He's an alien. So Roswell, final verdict. You thought it was pretty good. I thought it was second time around when I watched it. I thought it was decent. The AI truth telling stuff. I don't know. That's just a gimmick, but they did a nice job of sort of laying out what was happening with Roswell and some of the information. Are we going to keep looking at this? You want to go with?
Second. We'll episode 2 next week.
All right, episode 2 next week.
Although I had to. Did you have to subscribe to Discovery Plus? Did you get a free trial?
No.
Disco Plus. No, where'd you get the Russian channel? Did you go back to Russia to get it?
To Russia. Discovery is going to merge with HBO Max. Discovery Plus coming up this year, so all this stuff will be on HBO Max coming up.
Yeah, well, I got the channel, so
it's $1. It's only $1. But I have subscribed to whatever that is, Discovery Plus.
Disco Plus.
I described to that. All right,
I did too, because there's a lot of other UFO stuff on there.
Yeah, it'll be. But just to give you a heads up, by the end of this year, it's going to be part of HBO Max because Warner is owning HBO and they're streamlining. Did you see that they just canceled This is silly. We're off course here. The Batgirl movie because it was so bad.
No. No,
yeah,
I didn't see that.
Yeah, $90 million or $100 million to make a movie, and they just bailed on it. They were doing audience testing, and the audiences hated it so much. They said,
this is so bad.
We're leaving it in the can, and we're locking it in the vault like they used to do.
Did you see the new Thor Love and Thunder?
Wait a minute. Have I? I have not. No, I haven't.
You have to see
I
it.
was
It's,
thinking of.
well,
I was
I don't
thinking
want
of
to
the
say
other one.
have to see it. It's pretty. It's not as good as Ragnarok. Ragnarok, because it's got a lot
I,
of Led Zeppelin in there. I like
oh
it.
yeah. Well, I've never liked Thor because I always thought he was.
What?
Yeah,
Oh,
I've never been
I
a Thor. I'm
I love Thor.
more of an Einer. What's his pronoun? What's his pronouns? The
Who's your favorite Marvel character?
I
Oh,
probably
don't tell me Tony Stark.
yeah, probably Iron Man.
I know.
I like
Yeah, I
the
figured.
Hulk too, but even those are scientists, so of course I gotta.
Of course, I do. Yeah,
Yeah.
shocking that
Who else would I like? I like Hawkeye.
Oh,
Hawkeye.
it's not Hawkeye, is it? It's
Yeah, it's Hawkeye, isn't it?
the Hawk or something. The guy with the
The
crossbow.
bow and arrow. But yeah, of course, I'm Tony
Okay.
Stark, and Tony Stark
Nah.
is and Spider-Man. I would say my favorite is Spider-Man. Absolutely.
I don't know if I like Spider-Man that much. And
Well, I like it.
I don't know.
I like it because he's he
Just seem
struggles.
like such a kid. I don't know.
Well, he
It's
is a
weird.
kid,
He's
but he
always
struggles.
a kid.
He struggles with he always make him a kid.
He's always a kid.
But he's always sort of struggling with like real life things. It's like he's a superhero, but then he's got girl problems and he's got job problems, but then he's got like superpowers. So I always thought that was appealing.
Wouldn't you think you would have a job that would pay really good money if you were a superhero?
Yeah. He was a
think
photographer
about
for
it.
the Daily Planet or whatever that thing is.
I think you could probably do something else that might, pay more money.
He could be a steeplejack, whatever that is.
A pro wrestler.
Yeah. Well, he did that. He did that.
He did do that.
He did do that. And then
Made some money too.
And then Uncle.
But then they didn't pay him.
Who's the Uncle Tom?
Uncle Ben.
Uncle Tom. Uncle Ben. Uncle Ben died.
This is an episode that's never gonna get.
It's going to be
Google approval.
It's going to be sensitive events. Sensitive events.
Yeah, this one's gonna get the Google AI is gonna be like, nope.
Sensitive events.
Any sensitive events being talked about? People
All
are
right, we're not going to talk about the Berkshire UFO.
I have to watch it first.
Yeah, why don't you watch it? It's good. It's worth watching. Check it out.
So the movie with Martin Sheen. Did we already? No, we
haven't talked about that. UFO.
The thing that's freaking me out.
Roswell UFO cover-up. What's it called?
Yeah, the UFO cover-up movie, circa 1994, with Martin Sheen,
who's in there for like 10
and
minutes.
Others. Yeah, but it was really good. He was in it at the end, which was the important, as he told Marcel that nobody's ever going to believe anything you say because you can't prove anything.
Can't prove anything.
What was his role anyway? What was his?
I don't know.
Who was he supposed to be?
I don't know. Some sort of spook.
Government guy that's trying to spook knows Marcel knew the truth, and is just going to try to spook him.
Yeah. Just when we use that word, that word refers to a secret agent. It's an older term and not a racial slur, just in case people want to know.
Well, there wasn't anything but white people in this thing.
Well, there was a TV show
which probably doesn't depict reality either.
There was a TV show in the UK that was really good. In the US, it's called MI5, and they had like 4 or 5 episodes, and that was the name of the show in the UK, but in the US, they changed it to MI5. But yeah, he was some sort of secret agent that was like revealing the, secret knowledge and what's his future. The layout of the story was excellent, though, in this movie. I think it's the best.
Yeah.
It was probably, haven't seen, so many of these movies are just terrible. This was actually pretty darn good. Oh, and for people that want to know, you can watch it for free on YouTube. You just search for UFO. What's the full title?
Oh, it's Roswell, the UFO cover-up.
Roswell, search for that on YouTube. You can find it. You can watch the whole movie.
1994. You might have to plug that in too. And thanks for Mystery Guy at Work for telling me about this because it's awesome.
Good movie. I actually I didn't need to, but I bought it. I bought it on DVD. Yeah, I'm glad. It's got
not the VHS. You didn't get the VHS version, right?
Yeah, I haven't had a VHS since 1992, and it was stolen.
I was. Oh, really?
No, I just saw that in a show. What was I watching? I just saw that
I
show.
honestly thought you would have one. I thought he's probably got one.
I do hang on to old crap, but I'm learning to get rid of it. I do have a Apple Newton, which is an old, it's like an old iPad from the 90s, late 90s or something. I got a couple of those in a drawer somewhere. And and I do have an old CRT Apple in the garage, and I have an old clamshell Apple. Because it's just like, you don't know, you got these things and you just don't know what to do with them. You're going to throw them away at some point. So that movie is excellent. It's worth watching. You can watch it for free on YouTube. It's got Martin Sheen in it. It was surprisingly well done, and I would say, as a movie critic, the script was pretty structured. I've always thought that the Roswell story would be hard to tell, because we're familiar. Everybody's familiar. If you watched any of these things or read any of these books, everybody's familiar with the elements of it. But that movie did a great job of putting it together and sort of laying it out. They did it. It was surprisingly good, and I learned. You could tell they did a good job, and it was well shot, good acting. Martin Sheen was great to see in it for his 10 minutes, and it was good. I recommend it.
I have to bring up what I texted you this morning. Did you get you did get it the second time I texted, right?
Yes, I did, and now I'm. The Forrestal suicide.
I'm freaked out. It freaked me out all of a sudden because I'm not a big conspiracy theorist. I like reading about conspiracy theories and thinking about them and apply them to the show. But all of a sudden I had this really horrible feeling about this is weird because
well, you have to say who he was. He was the
Secretary of Defense
in 1950s,
49.
And when did he kill himself?
Oh, 55? Excuse me, he killed himself in
1949?
Yeah, he may have killed. 47 was Roswell. It was a couple years later.
Yeah, I've read about his suicide before. It was weird. It was a weird suicide.
So, first of all, it's weird that they have an aircraft carrier named after him. But anyway, so second of all, he was suffering from depression.
Yeah.
And so the answer, he was at Bethesda Naval Hospital, and people that suffered from depression, I guess they put him on the 16th floor, which seemed
with a window
unusual, with a window that will open.
That's before air conditioning. All the windows opened.
Probably true, but I would think that we knew by then that if somebody is suffering from depression, then we might not want to put them in a window that can open. And James Forrestal tried to hang himself.
Out the window?
Yeah, he probably did a bed. I don't know how he did it.
He went out the window. He hung himself.
He tried to hang himself they said he tried to hang himself and unsuccessfully fell 16 floors. And I thought that
this is bizarre.
I thought it unusual.
Yeah, it's like
honestly that would happen like that.
It sounds.
And of course, he didn't survive. So
the scenario that comes to mind is like someone tried to set it up so he looks like he hung himself, and then he fought, and they ended up going out and having him go out the window. Is what
it would have been good if he could have taken one of them with him. It would have made a better story. So
an orderly.
So basically, I think he got suicided. I mean, I had this weird thought. Normally, I don't subscribe
to that stuff.
But in the movie, he was portrayed. I want to regress a little bit.
Yeah,
he was portrayed as one of the Majestic 12, MJ-12. He was one of them. I looked it up today because I did a doctor bill, and I'm like, was he a MJ-12 guy? And he was. And he was one, according to the movie, now we won't really know, that he was one of the 12 only that said the public needs to know about this. This isn't something that we can cover up. And of course, one of the other MJ12 people said, of course we're not going to try to keep the lid on this forever. And he just, the look on his face like, yeah, sure. We're never going to
We're
tell
gonna put the
people.
lid on you.
We're going to.
I feel like James McDonald was psyoped to the point where he committed suicide. And I mean, that's his biography right there, Firestorm.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy, which we didn't get to, but Mac, who was the alien abduction guy who would interview people about alien abductions, and that's this book right there, I think.
Yeah.
He, the circumstances of his death raise, to me, as someone who read a lot of Cold War spy novels, raises some questions in my mind. So I saw the circumstance, like McDonald, I see the circumstances of his death, and I surrounding him, and I go, this just looks like a structured psyop to force him.
He MJ12 also?
McDonald, no, he was an investigator. He was like with Hynek. But he was an independent investigator of UFOs and was pushing for a lot of more research,
transparency,
the whole thing.
Yeah.
So so I think he was he committed suicide, but the events surrounding his suicide, to me, looked like a structured psyop campaign. And like the other guy, Mac, who was a professor at Harvard, he died in a traffic accident, got run down by a car in London. The circumstances around everybody says, no, it was just an accident, but there's just enough oddity in my mind that it might not have been.
Yeah.
So this leads to but what do we know?
Yeah, I know, but it just seems so bizarre that the circumstance of his death and
Forrestal's death is bizarre. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I got just a weird, the hair on my neck went up. I went, this is this is on a very grand level,
you mean the
cover up Forrestal's. Well,
that's the
I think he wanted to go public. He fought to go public, and he went and visited. And I sent a little bit of that in the text. He went and visited a place in the desert, and this was before Area 51 was built, because this was in Area 51 wasn't built until 55, I think. And he went in 50, which means he wasn't dead in 49.
So a little more detail. Where did you get this information about where he visited, or was it just
that was on the movie? So I don't know if that was.
There's a movie thing. Yeah, that's a little.
They could have made that up.
That's probably, you don't know if that's true or not. But the circumstances of his death were weird.
We don't know what anything is true, what anybody says or witnessed.
We're running out of time. We didn't get to anything. We had 20 minutes of sports talk.
Yeah, but we talked about Colin Kaepernick, dude.
Well, it was good. I actually liked that. I enjoyed that. We will regroup and come back with more stuff next week. You want to watch the Berkshire UFO thing, right?
We'll definitely watch it.
Yeah, watch that.
We can spend Berkshire.
And do we want to do Flat Earth, or we want to keep pushing that?
We'll try it.
We'll try.
We didn't get to half of what we were supposed to talk about today.
Yeah, there's a ton of stuff. I got to send you some stuff because you can't deal with computer files. I will not compress files and send them to you.
I was able to get to that. I just needed to slide it sideways, and I got to.
Oh, you got the other files and everything?
Yeah,
okay, cool. Yeah, well, then I won't resend them. Cool.
No, don't resend them. They're fine.
Okay. And then we'll just regroup and pick up next week and try and cover the stuff that we didn't cover. Yeah,
okay.
I want to talk about some of the Omni stuff. Hey, the politics of Apollo, that was an article in Omni, which is the 25th anniversary of the Apollo moon landing. Read it if you got time. I found it interesting because they talk about James Webb, which this new telescope is named after. And I didn't know anything about the guy. So I thought that was interesting because I was like, oh, James Webb, now I understand why they named a telescope after him, because he was very instrumental in the development of the space program. And plus, a new moon launch at the end of this month. First moon launch in 50 years, 52 years, 53 years.
Looking forward to it.
So I guess that's it for today, and we will try and accomplish something next week that's coherent and interesting, I guess.
Thank you, Norway. Number one in Norway.
Norway. Oh, wow. We should do Apple Podcast. We are number one in Norway. And
thank you very much for listening. We appreciate it. Brazil,
France, Germany, India. We are a top 100, 200 podcast. We even charted in the United States in Apple Podcast briefly last week. So
great. We'll see if we can make it stick.
Brazil, India, thank you for listening. Germany's been consistent all throughout, and France, keep it up. My wife says, I said, well, why are people in Norway listening to our show? And my wife goes, because they're smart.
Oh, tell her thank you.
Yeah, I thought that was nice. So we want to thank all the smart people in all the countries that are listening to our show.
She's so polite.
That's very nice. I thought it was a nice thing to say.
Yes.
All right.
Thanks for listening to the latest episode of the Alien Probe podcast. We welcome comments, questions, or requests to alienprobepodcast@gmail.com. Visit us on Facebook. Check out our website, alienprobe.net. Has all our episodes on there. We're on all podcast platforms. All 62. You can find them.
62.
There's no way you can miss us. See us on Twitter and Instagram at alienprobepod. See us on YouTube at the Alien Probe Podcast. Thanks to our senior producer, Robert Anthony. And as always, thanks, Dr. Bill.
Okay. Hey, watch the skies, everybody. We'll see you in a week.